Hey everyone, Corn here with my first game of Deathmatch from the Revelations beta. I actually ended up in this mode by accident, along with the ability to vote on the next map. They've also added the ability to vote on the next mode, and apparently I got voted into Deathmatch without realizing it. It was only when I noticed there was no compass that I realized what was actually going on. I presume at this point that everyone should pretty much be familiar with the idea behind Deathmatch, but just in case anyone isn't, I'll go through the differences between it and Wanted. Um, Basically, it's Wanted without a compass on a really small map with no duplicates of you. That's pretty much all the differences. The fact that you have no compass means you've got to find your target using line of sight, which you can still judge because of the portrait in the top right hand corner. The fact that it's a small map means it doesn't take too long to do this. And the fact that there's no duplicates means that once you've identified your target, you know it's them because there are no duplicates. Abilities do change that. Easy Deathmatch has no use of abilities. Normal Deathmatch does. So if people use Morph or Blender, there will be duplicates, so you've got to watch out for that. But for the most part, there's no duplicates. So yeah, it's basically you're in a very, very small area. They are areas of the full-size maps. Once you get a bit more familiar with the maps, which I now have, you will recognize them as just cutouts of the Wanted maps. But very, very, very small areas. So really, you can just wander around and wait for the thing to light up, and that'll tell you you're in the right area, and then you just look around and try to identify them. It generally tends to be much slower paced than Wanted, because you can't run to your target. There's no real advantage to running around like there is in Wanted in this or Brotherhood, because you aren't led straight to your target by the compass. You just figure out the general area by the lighting up of the portrait. So you're actually better off moving slowly to get to your target because you're going to have pursuers who are watching out for you. This works well with the reverse detection meter because the fact that you're moving slowly means you have plenty of time to build it up, unlike Wanted where you are kind of in conflict between the need to move slowly for the meter and move quickly to actually get to your target in time. So basically this mode gives you the kind of stealthy play that a lot of people wanted from Wanted but couldn't get. There is still roofing in this mode. It's doable. It has ups and downs. Because there's no compass, whatever about not telling you up or down, it doesn't tell you anything. So you can be pretty safe on the roof, because if people don't think to look up, they'll never find you. But if they do think to look up, they'll see you instantly, so it can be bad in that regard. And it won't help you find your target that much in my experience, because if you're up on a roof and the portrait lights up, you've got to look all around you to figure out where they are. Whereas if you're on the ground, you can actually do like long range line of sight checking to figure out where your target is. So I do find there is generally less roofing in this mode. Much more stealth, much more slow approaches. The only big criticism I'd have of the mode is that the maps are a bit too small. They have to be small because if you did this mode in a Wanted size map, especially the Revelations maps, which are bigger than the Brotherhood maps, you would be walking around all day trying to find your target. But I think they could stand to be maybe double the size that they are. The maps are so small that they all basically consist of a central courtyard type area and then a few alleyways around it, like a really small Rome or Florence, a really small Rome or Florence. A lot of the time if you just stand in the center area, your target will turn up within 10-15 seconds, and if they don't, there's a very small number of areas you have to check. Initially it's quite tricky to pick out your targets because it's all new personas. I had awful trouble with it for the first few games. But once you get the hang of it, there's a few personas now that I can spot easily, and finding them in this mode is not difficult. As soon as the portrait lights up, just do a quick 360 with the camera, there they are, kill them. So I don't think it would do that much harm to have bigger maps. It's just a bit too fast-paced. You spawn, you find your target, you kill them, or you spawn and then you die, and it happens over and over and over again very quickly. So it gives you the stealthy play, in that you're moving slowly and you're typically not roof running. Here I'm messing around with the tripwire mine because I like just doing that thing where you stand on the roof with it. I think it's funny. But you will typically do slow approaches and try to set up high scoring kills, but because it's so quick to find your target and because they can't really go anywhere, there's none of the real stalking kind of trying to follow your target around and predict where they'll go. It's generally a case of, oh look, there he is, and now I killed him, and that's it. So to me this doesn't feel like a full mode. like Wanted or Artifact Assault or any of the other new or old ones. It feels like a little toy mode, something that they could build into a full mode in the future if they wish to. I still enjoy it, but I do find it gets very kind of repetitive because it's just spawn, kill, spawn, die, spawn, kill, spawn, die. Some personas definitely have advantages over others in terms of how well they blend in general, because without any duplicates on the map, it really does matter more than ever how well your persona fits in with the general populace of the map. There's some that stick out in particular, the ones wearing bright colors like the guy in blue or the woman in green. As with my previous commentaries, I still don't know the names of any of these personas, so I still call them by the color of their clothes. They tend to stick out quite a lot. They're pretty easy to spot once you know what to look for. This guy I'm controlling, the guy in red, he can blend in if he's around the right people, but in other situations he sticks out quite a lot. The guy in white sticks out no matter where he is or what he's doing, and he always seems to be played by people who go on the roofs. I think he's like the prowler of this game. Roofers really like him. But there are some others, like some of the women who I don't have funny names for because I don't recognize them that easily. And funnily enough, they're not recognized that easily, and they're quite good in this mode because whenever I'm after one of them, I just cannot find them. So it's kind of not really a good thing that, you know, there's an inherent advantage to using some of the personas. It was always kind of the case in Brotherhood, and it's kind of the case in Wanted in this, that some of them are a bit harder to spot, but in a mode where your only method of hiding, aside from using abilities, is to blend in with the environment or with other characters who look similar. To have characters who stick out is kind of a poor choice. That's really all the basic stuff there is to say about this mode. I would go into detail on strategy, but this is the first game of this kind I played, so I'm not playing particularly well, and because I was low level at the time, I'm using the default set. So I'll leave the strategy stuff for my next video, which will be a video where I actually did well and played properly. The biggest change, really, aside from changing what abilities I'm using, is that in this game, as you can see, I am roofing quite a lot, although right now I'm just trying to be obnoxious with a trip mine again. I am roofing a lot, even though I said in the commentary that that's a bad idea, but again, this is because this is the first Deathmatch game I played, so I'm basically playing it like Wanted. But I very quickly learned to adjust my strategy. You just don't need to roof as much in this mode. It can be useful, but I find that actually wandering around on the ground, as long as you kind of keep moving when you've got pursuers nearby, it works just fine. General tips I'd give for this mode would be stay near people, because even though you don't look exactly like them, you will stand out less, and when the person doesn't... Not having the compass really changes the game, because in Wanted, or any other mode that has a compass, staying in a blend group when you're the only one in it is suicide, because the compass will lead them straight to you and they'll pick you out. But when the limit of the information your enemy has is that you're somewhere in line of sight, being in a blend group at a bit of a distance can be enough, if not to make you invisible, then at least to slow them down and make it take longer for them to find you. Moving slowly is a requisite for that. Running around, I'm on top of the roofing, I'm doing a lot of running around. Again, in Wanted, running around makes sense to keep your pursuers off you, but in this mode it's going to give you away and you can't really run that far. So again, not something you want to be doing too much of. If you've just killed someone and you think your pursuer's nearby, fine, run around the corner, break line of sight, that's great to do because the compass won't lead them straight back to you. But in general, move slowly, stick with crowds. Hide in haystacks because they don't have a compass, so if you're in a haystack and they don't think to check the haystack, they'll never find you. Hide in blend groups off at the edge of the map, where you can see, for instance in this map, from the central courtyard you can see some of the very edges of the map. If you hide in a blend group at the edge of the map in view of the courtyard and your pursuer walks into the courtyard, they won't have a clue where you are, because you could be in the middle or you could be off at any of the corners or anything. So really just take advantage of the fact that your pursuer can't find you as easily. This really is the kind of gameplay I was expecting when I first played Assassin's Creed multiplayer. I thought it would be more like this. I didn't expect the nonsense with the compass or the duplicates. And I like those modes. I love all the other modes. I love Wanted and all that. But it's very gamey. and I'm glad to see they're pushing the game a little more in the direction of being slightly more convincing, in that you don't hide among, you know, duplicates of yourself, and you don't track someone down with some magical sense of exactly where they are. So it's nice to see the game is going in this direction a little, even if it is, as I say, kind of a toy mode rather than a real mode. I'll go into more detail on the strategy and stuff like that in the next video, but that's all for now, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.